Okay, so here we are back in game, and we're going to have a look at price multipliers and see if we can work out what's going on here. Now, I've had a bit of a play around with this to try and save a bit of time working out the actual multiplications of the price of the animal and coming to a price that I'm comfortable with, or I think I'm going to be comfortable with it. Once we run it in game, we'll actually see if I've calculated correctly. So if we bring up our reg field types script here, we can see that the price of the animals, and you can see what they are for the young animals. So if we look at the actual cattle market, this will be our purchase price of our young animals. So we obviously want to get them cheaper than what they would be normally buying them through the store. So when we look at our script here to buy the actual animal, you've got a multiplier of 0.1, a price of 0.1, and then you've got a multiplier of 200, so that would make £20. So then if we look at our young beef, 0.12 times 200, £24, and young chicken 0.1, which would then come out at £20, which is fine, all that's great. So then we have to look at our sell prices and work out what we want to get for our sell prices. And that's when we have to then look at the pig, the beef and the chicken too, because the young animals are a purchase price overriding what the store price is through the P menu, and then you've got your sell prices, which are your actual pig, beef and chicken too. So what we have to look at then is the prices plus their multipliers. So if we want to get a good price, we have to work out what that is. So what I've done here is I've gone with pig at 0.1 price, and I'm in the right place there. Yep. So no, I'm not in the right place. Here we are. Now we're in the right place. So we come over to our Old World Meats, I believe it is, something like that. And we have a look at what we've got here. Okay, so we'll have a look at what we've got here, and we've got pig, yeah, Old World Meats, there we go, station name. So we've got pig, and I've put a multiplier of 800. So if we work out what that is, so that would come out at £80 for your pig. And the purchase price for a pig through the store is £50 and £20 through the cattle market. So you're going to get a pretty good price up markup on that sell there. So I think that's a reasonable sort of price to work with. So then if we look at our chicken too, I've put a multiplier in there of 15,000. So if we look at our chicken too, which is 0.01, so a multiplier of 15,000, we're going to get £150 for it. So I think that's a pretty good price. So to just double check that I've actually worked that out correctly, we will use the calculator here. So if we times that by 15,000, £150. So if we then come over to our beef, I've put a multiplier in there of 3120. And if we look at our beef here, we've got 0.1, times that by the multiplier of 3,120, and we get £312. So I think that's quite a good price. The beef to buy in the store is £250 through the cattle market, £24 I think, is that right? £24, yeah. So again, really good markup on the price there. So I think we're going to get, that's definitely going to be worthwhile. You're not going to be losing out too much. So then if we come over to McDonald's here and click on our trigger here, the only thing we're going to be selling there is beef. So we look at our beef price there, and we're going to be selling that at £278 because it's a multiplier of 2,780 times by 0.1. Yeah, 0.1. So you've got £278. So I think that's a pretty good setup. That's a pretty good price. So if you wanted to match what I've got there to set up your sell prices, irregardless of what map you're on, this would be what you would need to do to get the good, or get a good price for the selling of your animals, but keeping the purchase price low at the cattle market. So you would need to, whatever map you're working with, you would need to look for the triggers that would be appropriate for the selling of those products, and then adjust your price multipliers accordingly, comparing them against the actual price in the reg field type script here. I wouldn't mess around with these too much. You can change these, but once you've started a game save, then the economics in the game save take over. So whatever you then change here, so if you were to start a game, save it, then come back and change these, then go back into the game save, it would go bananas, because it wouldn't recognize, because it's already created an economics script, or XML, which would then override any of these changes here, I believe. So the only way you would then be able to get that to work would be to change these prices in here and delete this save game and start a new one, then thus creating a new economics XML. I can show you that in a game save. So if we go into here, go into a game save, you've got economy. I believe what happens is when you create your game save, this is then created, which gives you all your sell points and their demand and all the rest of it. But if you, and everything else you've got as it's created in here, I'm pretty sure that would then override whatever changes you made in here. So if you were to make changes to these prices, it would have to be done, and then a new game save would have to be created. So you'd have to start the map all over again, basically, for these changes to make effect. Whereas you can change the price multipliers as many times as you want, and it won't matter. It won't, you can continue to do that. So if you're not happy with this price, you can come back into the Giant Serrator, change this, then go back into your game save, and it will change. It will accept the change. But it won't accept the change, from what I can understand, by changing the reg field type script prices in a game save. You need to just have a bit of a play around and experiment with it, really. But change these multipliers. I would go this way. Changing the multipliers is the easiest way to do it without messing around with scripts. You just come in a Giant Serrator, find where your products are being sold, change your multipliers against the prices that you've got in your reg field types script, and it will then accept them and change them irregardless of how many times you make differences to these multipliers. It will always work, in my experience. So I would do it that way for sure. So yeah, I've adjusted those, as I say, and what I'll do now is I'll save all this, and then I'll put it back into the game, and we'll have a look in game and see what the prices are now, and yeah, and hopefully then we should be pretty much there, I believe. So I'm going to save this, zip it up, put it in game, and then I'll see you shortly. Okay, so here we are back in game again now, and I've brought up the storage and the prices, and you can see here that our pig now is selling for £80 at Old World Meats. Beef is £2.79 in McDonald's and £313 at Old World Meats, and fattened chicken is £135. So if you compare that to the actual store prices, so to buy a pig from the store is £50 and £20, I believe, if you buy it from the cattle market. And then you've got your beef, so £279 at McDonald's and £313 at Old World Meats. To buy beef is £250 or £24, so £250 in game store and £24 from the cattle market. And then your fattened chicken selling for £135. To purchase in store is £120, or to buy at the cattle market, £20. So I think those prices are pretty good. I think they're set somewhere I find is acceptable, so I'm going to go with that. No idea what's going on with the horse because I haven't adjusted anything to do with that, so I can only assume that's a bit of a foobar on the actual map, original map itself, but I will have to go back and check an unedited version of the map to see if that's the case. But to be honest with you, I'm not going to play around with the horse on this map anyway. I've got no interest in that whatsoever, so I'm just going to concentrate on the other parts of it. So yeah, I think we're pretty much done there. I'm happy with all those prices. What we will do very quickly is just have a look at the placement of these particular animals, so I can show you they do actually go. We've got 32 young beef in here, so we'll just take these over to the appropriate place and show you that they do actually go into their stalls or into the fattening area. If I can remember which one is which. Okay, so if we come up round here, I can't remember which one is the pigs and which one is the beef, so we'll just drive on in here and see what noises come out of it. Okay, so we're in the right place, so good. So we come to about here, I think, is it? There we go. And there we go, so they're all unloading perfectly fine. So that's good, that's working fine. So we'll leave that one there to continue unloading, and we will go and jump in one of the other ones and bring those over. So look at our pigs next. Bring those down. Now the advantage of this, obviously the price is one major advantage, but the other advantage is the fact that when you buy these particular fattened animals through the store, through the P menu, this one here, when you buy them, if you've got more than one fattening station of the same animal, so if you've got 2 fattened pig stations, when you purchase them they'll be split across each of the 2 stations. So if you buy 50 fattened pigs, you'll end up with 25 obviously in each. Whereas with this, if you don't particularly want to do that, if you want to buy 50 of whatever animal and just concentrate on one of the stations, then you can literally do that. You can buy these animals, put them in their appropriate places. So I could fill one up with just 50, and then I'd only have one to worry about. I wouldn't need to mess around with the other one until I was comfortable to do so. It may not bother you, but I think it's a good advantage to be able to do that. It's, if you're limited on your supplies, your grain and whatever else, you're not having to spread it thinly across 2 stations. You can accommodate only the one with a greater amount, and then your returns are again greater. Okay, so we'll just check this. There we go. Perfect. All unloading. So that's fantastic. All working as intended. So we'll switch that off, let that continue, and we'll go and get our chickens, and we'll just make sure that they unload okay. One thing to note, I have noticed on this, and I'm not sure if it's the same if you buy it in store. I can't imagine it would be, because you don't require this trailer to do that. It's possible it may do the same thing if you were to pick up your fattened chickens to then take to sell. If you leave them in the trailer and save the game and then exit and then come back again, I have found that half of them disappear. It's the same if you have to reset it. So if you drive it into the water or whatever else, you might start off with 60 odd of whatever animal in here, but then when you actually either save, exit and come back into the game, or have to reset the vehicle, you will lose half of whatever you had in there, or a large quantity of them. I'm not exactly sure of the number, but I have noticed they do disappear. So if you've got 60 in there, you'll end up with 30 or some odd. I don't know why that is. So I would definitely recommend that whatever you purchase from the cattle market, you transport and take to wherever they happen to be going to before you save the game and exit. I mean, obviously if you drive into the river, you're stuffed, you know. There's no way of getting around that. Depending on how much you've done on the map, you suppose you could quit without saving and come back in again and then have another bash at it without losing too much money. But you know, if you're buying them from the cattle market at £20 each, then, or £24 each, whatever respected animal you happen to be buying, then you know it's not a major loss, I guess. But if you're transporting them from your actual fatten station, then you know you've spent a lot of money getting them fat, and then you may end up losing half of them. So that could be a bit of an issue. I'm not sure if that's the same for all maps or for all of these things. I can't believe that it's the cattle market that's causing the issue, but I may be wrong. So just be aware of that. It may be an issue that needs to be addressed. I don't know. I tend to start something, I'm going to complete it. So other than driving it into the river or we're off of, you know, getting it stuck somewhere and having to reset it, you know, I would never start this procedure without completing it before I then saved the game and exited anyway. So okay, so we're going to just double check that this all works. Now I can't remember where these unload. I think it's somewhere around about here, so we'll try that. There we go, perfect. So there we go, all coming out the trailer. If you jump out, they are actually appearing in here. And like I said, doing it this way, by purchasing them from the cattle market, I can now put all of them directly into this station and concentrate on this one station without having them split across the two of them. So I think that's a definite bonus, besides the actual saving of cost involved. So yeah, I think we are done with this, because yeah, this has gone on for a little longer than I really wanted it to, but I wasn't too sure how to go about it really. Like I said earlier on, I wasn't sure whether to do the editing of the field and the map before I brought the cattle market in, or whether to include it. But I think I've done right by including it, because I think it's just going to give you ideas that you may not have had before, and or if you had the ideas before, you may not have known how to put them into practice. So this may help. I hope it does. Yeah, enjoy. I appreciate you watching. Leave a comment and all that stuff. Thanks very much. See you next time. Bye for now.